With a little note to self, the servo wires right there got wet and it started tripping out the servo, but I just blew it out and dried it up, and now the servo is working properly again. So I might want to plastidip those servo wires and all those cables right there, just completely plastidip them too and make them part of the board, so that way no water can ingress in there. But right now I blew it out and everything's working fine. What is up, RC Enthusiasts? So you guys just checked out that video right there, and if you guys enjoy water runs and you guys wonder, how the heck did I get this thing to run in water like that and not damage it? Well, it's not always 100%. There is a chance that you could still damage your truck, so yeah, disclaimer right there. Follow this if you want to try this, but it's not 100% if you don't do it right, or things can go wrong. Water finds its way into stuff somehow, and that's just how it is. But if you want to attempt this, I'll show you how I waterproof these rigs. Alright, first we're going to have to go underneath because we're going to take the body off. As you can see right there, that yellow tab right there with the screw on it. It's going to be two, one on that side, one on that side. You're going to unscrew those, and on the back, you're going to unscrew that one, and that should lift your whole body up. Once you've pulled the body off, now all you got to do is carefully take note of where everything's plugged in. So it's good to take a picture right here or a video just to show you where everything's routed, what plug goes where, so that way you can go ahead and put it back together easily. And now we're going to have to unplug all those so we can get to our 2-in-1 ESC receiver combo right here to waterproof it, and we have to waterproof this servo as well. So there you go, body disconnected. Now I unplugged everything from this right here, and it's just double-sided taped on there. So it wasn't held on too strong in my case, but it might be for yours, so be careful while pulling it out. As you can tell, that's it for me. You're going to need a 1.5 hex to pull these out. As you can tell right here, I removed the screw holding the servo horn on. This right here, really, I would just protect this. I would just put it back together since it doesn't have a board in there. And all the seams, you see the seam right here? Let me split it open a little better. Yeah, you see that seam right there to the gears, and this seam right here to the back casing. I would just plastidip all that to minimize water seepage into this servo, but other than that, this servo should be fine. So now I determined that I just need to make the casing of this waterproof. Let's go ahead and let's move on to waterproofing this board. Normally what I do is I just spray some plastidip into some sort of container like this, because it's going to bubble up and stuff, and you're going to want it to do that for a little bit and get a little bit like less liquidy of a consistency. And then you can go ahead and start putting it on. I mean, not too, you can do it right away after the bubbling stops. I'll show you what I mean right now. Well, yes, I'm just going to wait for the bubbling right here to stop. I don't know if you guys can see that, because if I started doing this right now, as soon as I'm done laying it down here, anything that still has bubbles in there, it's going to end up potentially being a hole and a way for water to get in. So I'll get back to you guys as soon as this stops the bubbling, and we'll start applying it onto our ESC receiver combo. So as you see right here, all I'm going to do is use some sort of, you could use a toothpick, a hex head, whatever you want to do, something small and fine so you can get it into the nooks and crannies. And then you're just going to go in there and you're just going to dab it. I like to go straight for the pins. Now if you look right here, I just want to go straight for the pins, because since the plastidip is still pretty liquidy, it's going to soak and go around those pins nicely and get everything nice and waterproof in there. So I'll show you what it looks like once I get it all dabbed up in there and done. There you go. You can tell the whole chip is covered, everything. And you're just going to do that through the whole board. Well, there you guys go. That's what it's supposed to look like when everything is all plasti dipped up. Like I said, let it dry and then put a second layer if you want to be a little bit more secure, which I usually do. And then I do the back side. And also one note, the edges as well. Don't forget to do the edges. Some people leave those bare and you get some seepage through there. So make sure to fully do it all around. And then now I have to do the servo. Now on the servo, all you're trying to do is get the seams right here. So get a good layer on the seams. You could dip the whole servo if you really want. All I do is just get the seams, put a nice thick layer across the seams all around. This seam right here, this seam all around, and also this wire where it's coming out. Make sure to put a big glob on there, especially once the plastidip you're using is starting to get hardened a little bit. It'll be good to put a glob on there and it'll get it nice and secured. And one last tip too, for this switch right here, more than likely it's going to corrode and stop working if you just leave it open like this. So what I do is I just put it in the on position and then I just plastidip completely over it and not use the switch anymore at all, and just unplug and plug the battery whenever you need to use it. Now this one thing I do, I have no proof if this works or not, if it really does anything, but if you can tell right there, I put a little dab of plastidip on the top of the antenna right there so water can't get into the metal area, and it's pretty much protecting the metal part of the antenna. I notice when I do this, I get better signal when I'm underwater for some weird reason. So whoever knows anything about that, maybe it's because I'm creating a little air pocket in there, and I don't know. But that's what I do, and I notice it seems to help a little bit, and it'll help the wires in there from corroding up and stuff. Well, there you go. Just trying to get some better lighting for you guys. Hopefully that looks better and you can tell. I completely coated this thing in plastidip. Still waiting for it to dry so I can move on to the back. Just reverse what you did to disassemble it to put it all back together, and that double-sided tape should still hold this down pretty well. I would just put it back on there, especially with the plastidip on there. It'll probably stick on it a lot better. But once you do put this down on there, just remember, if you do pick this back up or try to move this around, you are going to compromise the waterproofing of this, especially once it's stuck to the double-sided tape on the back. Once you pull it off, you're going to create an air gap in there, and it's going to pull the plastidip right off this thing. So this is a one and done. Once you install it, don't mess with it unless you want to re-plastidip it again. And there you go. A better look at the servo, fully plastidipped up. And I probably put a second layer on the wiring up here just to make sure nothing can get in there. Alright, now as you see here, we have the back side done up. And after we let this all dry, install that back up, and we're good to go. Well, there you guys go, all waterproofed and ready for some water action. Now as always guys, you want to make sure after doing your water runs, always give it a run. Make sure you have a little bit of battery left to give it like a 5 to 10 minute run afterwards out of water to get that motor right there to dry up inside, because the heat of the motor should dry it up enough, and that should keep that motor reliable, because if you store it wet, you're going to ruin the brushes in there and you're just going to rust everything inside that motor. So try to store it dry. Same with the bearings and stuff right here. Spray some penetrating oil on all those bearings, and maybe once in a while you're going to want to take some stuff apart like your axles and stuff just to make sure no mud and stuff got in there, and clean it up. And that's just, you know, some maintenance you have to do to keep your rig a little bit more reliable for your water fun. Well, there you guys go. The EazyRc Arizona, fully waterproofed and ready for some water action. Now remember, none of this is 100% guaranteed, but if water fun is what you're into, these are the kind of things you're going to do to have fun with your rig. So check it out guys, and as always, have fun, be safe out there, and go run that RC.